Welcome to the Amazon Legends podcast, where we have real stories about making it big on Amazon. Our guests are CEOs of large companies and entrepreneurs who became powerful sellers, also experts specializing in helping sellers, and both former and current Amazon employees who will give us an insight from behind the scenes. Here's your host, Nick Urison.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Amazon Legends. And today we actually have a part two of a guest that we had before with Gelco Products, because we had the CEO previously, Jason Langston, and Jason was such a high-level person, and he was so focused on his vision and how he was building the company in terms of the product vision and what kind of an organization he wanted to have. But whenever I tried to nail him down to specifics in the operational parts, he would say, well, Kathleen is the one. Kathleen is this, Kathleen is that. So I said, look, we've got to have a part two and bring Kathleen on board so that we can really see and hear how the whole thing has been built and how Gelco is operating. So with that, I have Cathleen Woodall, and Cathleen is also the co-founder and the president of Gelco, and she's co-authored several patents with Jason Langston on Gelco products going back several years, and also she's an artist. She paints regularly, and she's not exhibiting yet. She's entertaining offers, but soon.
It's my passion.
Yeah,
for sure.
And, so Gelco products are the kind of products that help us maximize our potential, and that happens while we are sitting.
Yes.
So if you are sitting comfortably, you can get the highest return on your work.
Yes.
But if you're not, then obviously you're not going to be maximizing your potential, and that's what Gelco does, and seat cushions and others. So with that, Kathleen, so we talked about different challenges, but you really are the engine behind Gelco and executing the strategy. So tell me something that you are doing really well to contribute to the success of Gelco brand.
Okay. Yeah, I have to say that I may be the engine, but Jason and I really are a team. And so I may be doing the nuts and bolts and the, actually push and go, but it's really an interesting teamwork that we have, and we are good counterpoints. Back in the day, you talk about being comfortable and maximizing your potential. And it really is, more about, well, it's that, but it is more than that. It's actually improving your life. I mean, we really want to be a regenerative organization with a product that is considered regenerative, because we're looking at the whole person. When you're sitting, I mean, they're likening it to smoking now, right? And our lifestyles are so much more sedentary now, and you're just, it has so many implications to your health. So what we want to do is build the whole person and bring into our company, not just selling products, not just, making money, but actually helping the people who are using our products to better their lives. So yes, when you sit on our product, hands down, I believe it's the best product on the market. When I got started, the reason I was so passionate about this is that I was doing market research in telecommunications, and I had a project that I was working on. I literally worked 20 hours a day for 4 days in a row to get it done. I was looking for anything to sit on, and there was nothing on the market unless you wanted to buy a $400 wheelchair cushion, which at the time was just, a square piece of foam with maybe some other kind of, tricky things in the surface or whatever, but it really wasn't anything on the market. And I was miserable. I mean, and I just thought, holy cow, there's a gap in this market, and we could do something really good with this. And we all kind of laughed. We had a gel wrist rest and a gel mouse pad. So we needed butt gel, to sit on. And that was the prototype name in the beginning. And it started off with just, making myself comfortable and wanting something to be able to sit on it, even a decent chair. You can buy a $1,500 chair and it doesn't address the point of contact where your behind sits on the surface of the chair. It doesn't address that. So when you sit on our product, it makes you sit up a little bit better. You have a better forward pelvic tilt, which keeps your low back's, curvature in the right place. So, it definitely helps you be meeting your potential. It helps your health. It helps your mindset. It helps everything in your life. If you spend as much time as I do sitting at my desk, you need to have something that's going to be functional and isn't going to be just a throwaway piece of foam that compresses and doesn't keep its ergonomics. So
yeah, I mean, this is a big deal. I mean, I learned the hard way when pandemic started. I mean, I'm fairly active. I was running 20 miles a week, going to the gym, 3 times a week. I was active, but with everything being in lockdown mode, and as it happens at the time, of course, then we had nothing else but work. So sitting in front of the computer, I mean, after 1 year, almost a year of sitting and working and without really being active, I developed back problems. I mean, I'm getting up, I started to feel pain, and I actually had to go to physical therapy. So, I mean, the product is so easy to overlook and say, oh, what's the big deal? Just put a cushion on. No, it's not. It's your posture is everything. And there is nothing like back pain. Nothing like back pain.
In fact, back pain is like the #1 reason for lost hours at work.
Yeah. I mean, toothache, stomach, and back pain. So those are like killers. So now let's jump into the heavy duty operational aspect of distributing your product, because when I spoke to Jason, he was talking about going after catalogs, airlines, airline catalogs, and it's creating a supply chain. And then you jump into Amazon world, then that kind of came back and bit you, right? So
a little bit.
So tell us about, that's the interesting story. How did you deal with, so what happened and how did you deal with it, and how it benefited you?
Yes. Yeah, we were in all of the major catalogs. We're still in Hammacher Schlemmer. I think we're probably the longest running product we've been there since 2006.
Wow.
And their typical run rate is like 2 to 3 years. So we were doing really well in the print catalog world. We were Brookstone, Sharper Image, and all of the big names, plus a whole slew of smaller catalogs. And so in 2014, everybody started to really kind of move over and want to put their stuff on Amazon. And so we're like, okay, that we're good, that's fine. Everybody had agreed to the MAP policy. Everybody was playing really nice. And then a few bad players come in and go, okay, we're going to just sell it under a different DBA. Yeah, we'll sign your agreement, but we're gonna just put these listings up under another DBA. And of course, Amazon doesn't share that information, so you can't really tell who it is. So we would have to put a sticker. We gave every distributor a number, and every shipment that went out was identified with a number. So we would have to then go buy the product, see who it was, have a conversation and say, well, we're not going to sell to you anymore. So after about 6 months of that, we're looking at our list of distributors going, this is just going to continue to go downhill, and they're ruining our retail price point, and they're not representing our brand properly. They're just kind of going off into the Wild West and just trying to compete on price, which is not, it's just not the way to sell a product.
So I just a couple of questions to bring a better perspective, because what you are explaining is so strategic. A lot of people don't really get it. First of all, at that point in time, are you an Amazon seller, or are you a vendor to Amazon? Which program were you in?
We were actually not. We did have some listings up. We had started to put up a store in 2014, but we weren't really focusing on it because we didn't want to, really compete with our distribution. So we just were selling to our distributors who were then selling on Amazon.
I see.
And
so you are not. So you created an account, but didn't really operate.
didn't really
it.
focus on it.
Instead,
Right.
you relied on the resellers. Okay.
Yes.
So
then,
you were not there.
Right. So then in 2015, we basically took the stance that we were going to get rid of anybody who was going to sell on Amazon and basically limit everybody. No, we will not sell to you if you're going to sell our stuff on Amazon. And if we catch you doing it, we'll just won't ever sell to you
So
ever again.
That's my second question, because I get this from some manufacturers.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, these distributors that you're selling at wholesale price, right?
Yes, right.
So whether they discount it or not, you are still getting the same price.
Yes.
Why should you care about them discounting?
Yeah, because the margins go down and down and down, and pretty soon nobody's making any money, including us, because sales disappear. I mean, you can continue to sell at a lower price, but sooner or later you're going to run out of margin. And these guys, I mean, the print catalogs were, they require a 60% markup. These guys were, they were operating on 30% margins. So they just cut the price and just, destroy the retail price point, which then who else is going to want to sell it? You can't be selling on Hallmark or Schlemmer for a product that's $119 in their catalog and have it be $79 on Amazon. It's going to destroy their business too. So it was disrupting our wholesale distribution side, and it was, it just was a big mess for everything. And we saw the writing on the wall. We just said, we can't do this. I mean, this is one of the things that I think is a hallmark of our company for almost 20 years now, is that we pivot very quickly. We see it and we go, okay, we got to make the change. And that change was painful the first year, because we cut our distribution by, oh my gosh, probably 60%, and fired all of those people and hopped into Amazon full time. And I know Jason mentioned hiring a consultant to kind of do a little research. And so the one thing,
90 days.
And then what you find out is that no matter what you think you don't know anything until you get into it and you're in Amazon and you're putting the listings up and you're messing with all of that stuff in the back office and your photographs and everything. I've had people come to me and say, can you help me put this listing up? I've spent $2,500, $3,000 on YouTube videos that, somebody put up and said, we're the guru, right? Well, they never have the right information. And then when you finally get into the nitty gritty of what Amazon was, it's completely different. So
let me understand, because what you did is huge as a manufacturer with a distribution network. So you identified your distributors who were bad actors,
right? Yes.
And then you cut them out, or you told them you can't do this anymore. How did you deal with it?
We gave them an option. We have about 3 or 4 left that still sell our products, but they don't sell our products on Amazon. And occasionally we get something that leaks through, and they've been really good about, oh my gosh, we'll take it right down. Sorry, we have a new person. But so these guys have been really true to their word, and they do not sell our products on Amazon. So if you look at our listings now, we only have one seller of our products. It's not us at this moment, because we had some things that happened with Amazon in 2018 and we had to do another pivot. But
your policy now is for your distributors, they're not allowed to sell on Amazon.
They're not allowed to sell on Amazon, right?
And so this is obviously, for those who are listening, this is very important. So first of all, you have to have an agreement with distributors spelling out what the selling rights are on Amazon, right?
Yeah.
So they have to agree to it. And the other thing is, you may want some of them to sell some
Sure.
of your products, but that has to be all spelled out, and either
Right.
way they have to adhere to your MAP policy, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, so that's a major change in terms of company policy, and also you can't just do this overnight, right? You have to give
No.
them notice, and then they complain, and
Yeah.
and then the other side of it is it costs you business, right? You just
Yeah.
cash flow.
Yeah. So 2015 was a tough year. And, our first year on Amazon was, it was decent, but then we had almost, 400% increase from the first year to the second year. So it was so worth it. And now, we have control of our brand, we have control of our pricing. And, it made all the difference. For the long term, you just can't have a bunch of people selling your products unless you're, Hitachi or I don't know, some
I mean,
really big brand. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing really is, there are two types of brands or brand owners, I should say, companies that own brands. One is either exclusively built for online, or they just happen to sell direct to consumer, and this was the natural environment. So there is no distribution network. They are the only ones, and there's no other seller.
Right.
So that's one. Of course, that comes with no problems, but then you have the burden of obviously promoting and everything you have to do yourself.
Right.
And then the other type is it operates a supply chain. You have distributors, wholesalers. So if you go that route, which tends to be the route most entrepreneurs go,
Right.
they're trying to get shelf space and blah, blah. And then you've got to have a policy that spells out the selling rights,
Everything.
price points, and all that stuff. And
Definitely.
and then pivoting afterwards is just too messy.
No, you can't.
That's the lesson.
That's destruction. You won't survive, I don't think.
So tell me about some of the things that you've done. So I heard you say earlier you started a seller account, but then you didn't really put focus on it. Instead, you supported the distributors. Are you still doing that? Or
I still have brand ownership. I still have my A+ content that I manage in our storefront. We are not actively selling from our storefront because in 2018, which we were really on the way to having our best year, our biggest seller was suspended. And I think there was some confusion when you and Jason were talking about they deleted our item, but that wasn't the case. They suspended our best seller right as we slid into the holiday. It was November 7th, 2018.
And what was the reason?
Well, we had a customer out of one distribution center in Fresno, California that kept getting the wrong item. They were ordering a G-Seed Ultra and getting a G-Seed Classic. And it turns out that our manufacturer had mislabeled about, I don't know, maybe 40 items and sent it in to the system as we, started at the holiday, and they pulled the item, pulled the listing, and it was crickets. You couldn't get an answer from anybody. They just, it was right at the beginning of when Amazon was killing Seller Central support. And I had found a way around the VRU. Basically, at that time, you could zero out and ask for seller support, and they would connect you, And then I found out that if you called early in the morning, we're in Arizona, so if you called early in the morning, you would probably get an English-speaking person. If you didn't call early in the morning, you were sent to the Philippines or wherever, and it was just a nightmare. I talked to one woman who made a statement to me about the trouble ticket that was open on our product. And she said, the investigation has been completed. She everything you wanted to hear, right? So I repeated it back to her, and she said, oh no, that's not what I said. And she basically backtracked completely and said the investigation had never even been started. So you get these people that don't know what they're doing. They don't know English as a first language. it's really difficult to communicate. And then, so you open the ticket, you have this conversation, and then it sits there and it goes nowhere, and you have to open another ticket. And then, they're merging all these tickets. And at the end, I was just, people, it's holiday. You're ruining our season, Can you help me?
Yeah.
And it was really a frustrating situation.
So this is a very good point. So there's something called listing quality. And the listing quality is basically how the physical product, in terms of the product itself, its packaging, match the information that is displayed on the page.
Right. Yes.
And what happened to you is, unfortunately, one of those things that are so easy to happen, which is why this listing quality index is created. I mean, Amazon creates an index for everything. That's important.
Yeah, right.
So what I did when I work with my clients, I mean, this is something you have to do yourself, where you randomly check every batch of shipment that you're sending to Amazon. And you register the numbers, how many pieces were sent out and how many pieces were checked. And then at the company level, at the policy level, you say, okay, our inspection rate will be 30%. That means 1 out of 3 pieces you're looking at physically.
Yes, right.
Open and so that's how you catch these things. And,
right.
And if you cannot catch them, then you're going to get a performance notification.
Right. And we were shipping out of our manufacturer, who had previously for, we were with them since 2009. They, they were pretty good about what they did, but man, this time it just,
you have to stay on top of it yourself. You have to look at every number. So and then when you get those notifications, you have to really study it, because they are the early warning. So I mean, it's already too late.
And in fact, the first ticket I opened, I really thought that it might have been a return that had been mislabeled by somebody in the Fresno warehouse, because the complaint came out of Fresno twice. And then, of course, after that, it was a cascade of them. But in the beginning, we thought it was just Fresno. So maybe they'd taken the return and relabeled it and put it back out, right?
Yeah.
But so that was the shot across the bow. But
so so tell us about this, your Amazon journey, so to speak. So I heard you say that it was catalog first, but then things started to move to Amazon. So you, as a result, decided to go to Amazon. But I heard an intricate detail there. So you started an Amazon account, but then you decided, no, we're gonna support our distributors. So why did that switch occur?
Because the distributors did not support us. They were, it was a free for all. I mean, if they could get the buy box, they were going to get it and just drop the price. They had the margin to be able to support that kind of a price cut, and they just didn't care. So that was where we just said, we have to have control of our brand. We have to have control of our pricing. You can't be on Amazon and not have control of it.
Yeah. So, but what I want to know is, because this happens to, we say I belong to an organization, entrepreneurs organization, and we say nobody's problems are unique. So, what the problem you experienced, what I'm pointing to is, you started an Amazon account. This is early. But you decided, no, we're not going to sell it. We're going to let our distributors sell it. So why did you not continue with that? Instead, defer to your distributors?
Why did we not continue with the Amazon store?
Yeah,
it was new. We were a small company. We didn't really have the resources to put the time into it and do it well. So we figured we'll just hang back until we get to a point where we could do that. And then it just became a necessity, and I jumped in and became the nuts and bolts of it and
The
figured it out.
complexity of it, right? Complexity of it.
Yeah. I mean, I remember trying to figure out how to use the Celix software. I don't know if you're familiar with Celix.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. It was, you know, and we were doing pretty well by that time, but I got solicited by a guy who turns out I was his first client. This was in 2015. We were doing really well, or actually 2016. And so Matt called me and you know, basically sold me on his ability to manage the listings and do the optimization and HTML coding and all of the things that I didn't know how to do. And he also knew their algorithms for the you know, ad stuff, and just it was amazing what he spoke to. I was like, oh, this guy really sounds like he knows what he's doing. He was the first person in, at that point, 15 years that we had ever engaged, and he delivered. I mean, we had a 30% increase in sales after Matt came on board. And oh my gosh, it just like changed the landscape and took so much pressure off of me, because he had actually worked on the Wonder Gel account way back in the day on Amazon. So he knew the market, he knew Amazon, he knew all of our stuff. It was just a really good fit, and it was a match made in heaven.
So what I'm hearing is, first of all, do not discount Amazon as a channel.
No, never. You can't.
Yeah. Second, do not outsource it to your distributors. You have to be there, and do not be discouraged by the complexity, because it is complex. But you have to be there. You have to endure it, so to speak, and seek professional help.
Guidance.
Trying to figure it out yourself is a no-no.
Yeah, it really is. It's no man's land, and especially now, it's even more complicated.
Yeah. Now, there's something else, by the way. You mentioned YouTube videos. So, you know how it is. Nothing on the internet ever goes away. So people put those videos up.
Yeah, they were from 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, they're outdated. You don't know what is the latest information.
No.
So going by YouTube videos is really no way to go. I mean, I always say this. If you have money in your pocket, you look after it. If you have money in the bank, you look after it.
Right.
When you buy inventory, that's still cash.
Yes.
But as yet, you just go doing these things that really you don't know how to do, and you're playing with your money, and you're no longer looking after it. It makes no sense to me. But people.
No, right. So this was one of those serendipitous things that have happened to us all along since the beginning. Just, and you go with your intuition, because most of the time people that we've talked to, oh, we're going to increase your business 300% in the next 90 days. I mean, they promise things that could never be,
it's
come to fruition. And Matt was just like, you got to do your due diligence. I mean, I talked to his other people that, he like sort of, vetted him, even though we were actually his first customer. So it wasn't actually talking to other customers, but he definitely, he delivered. So there are guys out there that can do it.
When you are running your Amazon operation, what are the numbers you're watching?
Oh my gosh, your ROAS, your customer, reviews and all of that stuff. I mean, there's so many different things. So you're in your advertising side, our ROAS was somewhere in the neighborhood of 15%, between 9 and 15% when Matt was doing it. And so you're watching those numbers, you're watching your account health, the health of your product, whether or not people are, oh my gosh, how many people would confuse the seller review versus the product review. So we would get people who didn't receive their Prime delivery within 2 days, and they would leave a product review. And so we were always constantly having to watch that and police the commentary and everything. And of course, now
what do you do when that happens? If they receive, especially if you are doing FBA, Amazon is supposed to ship, and now you end up with a bad product review on
They
something
were
that has nothing to do with you.
right. They were actually pretty good about deleting it. At first, they would delete the comment, and then they started just striking through it. So if you scroll down, you could actually see the comment that somebody had made, but it would say it had a disclaimer on it that Amazon takes responsibility for this, delivery fault, whatever, But of course, you had to have opened a trouble ticket with seller support. You had to go through the whole 9 yards to get that done.
By the way, the latest, I don't know how long this is, it's recent anyway. You're right. If you found something like that, you would have to open a ticket.
Yeah.
But now you can actually do it yourself. They have an option there, and then you can
Really?
select in the cell. This is for seller rating. If somebody left a negative feedback due to delivery and it was FBA, you can elect to remove it.
Okay, well, see, I'm not doing the nuts and bolts today, so I didn't know that. I do know that they've taken away.
Oh, it's changed something every day. I mean,
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's sad that they've taken away the ability to answer for sellers to answer customer questions. And because that was a big thing, people would ask us all kinds of questions about, the differences between our products. And it's difficult to see that in a listing, and you pull up a couple of different listings with a comparison. And, it's difficult when it's a seat cushion, you want to be able to touch it and feel it, and you really can't.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that was, it just made it difficult.
So among the numbers that you watch, do you also monitor how your listings are converting?
Yes, definitely. That's all. Yeah.
And how do you do that? Because that data is very hard to get.
Yeah. Matt was doing that for us when he took over all of our advertising. He would take a look at, he was looking at all of that.
Mm-hmm. So Kathleen, tell me, what is a good team? What is the makeup of a good team in terms of functions? So what are specific, distinctly, different roles that you have to identify and then put somebody on it? And then what is a good idea to outsource? What is a good idea to do in-house?
Right. When you're small, when you're first starting out, you're putting on those hats yourself. But a good team, I think, is first of all, you need to have good communication, and we're looking to have more of a flat hierarchy. So, there's no top down sort of, you can't talk to the CEO, you can't, we want to be able to have good communication across all of the functionality. So, you got your shipping, and you got your customer, support, and, sales. And Jason is my sales guy. That's why I wanted him. He could sell ice to Eskimos, and he's that sales, hunter guy, and I'm the farmer, and I'm taking care of everything behind the scenes while he goes out and gets the new business. And so for outsourcing, I think when it comes to Amazon, your advertising, all of that stuff that's in it, you really have to have a knowledge of the algorithms and how they work. And if you don't have that, you're just throwing money down the drain. And having that outsourced was really key to our success.
How about things like demand planning? How much inventory to carry?
That was on me.
So how did you tell? Because that happens to be everybody's main concern, and there is no off-the-shelf solution for it. It's just you
keeping your eye on it.
Yeah. So what are you watching, and how do you calculate how much inventory to order, how much inventory to send to Amazon? Walk us through how you handle that.
Well, when I still had my hand in the day-to-day Amazon side of it, we were very lucky because our manufacturer was in Wadsworth, Ohio, and they would keep 1,000 units of all of our SKUs on the shelf. And so I could watch what our sales were doing, and I had a pretty good idea of what the increase would be for Christmas and, some seasonal things, but it wasn't too bad to be able to just take a look at what we were doing and where it was going based on our previous year. We'd look at the percentages of growth, factor that into the seasonal side of it. And we were usually pretty close, but if we were off, it was literally a 3-day shipping from Wadsworth to the Amazon warehouse for FBA. So it was pretty good.
Oh, and so of course the other question is Amazon's receiving process. They can take.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Their receiving process back then was decent, except for during the holidays. You could take 10 days before you got your product on the shelf or in the bin. But yeah, that could be a really sticky situation. And
Yeah.
we certainly ran into that with our current situation where we have our partner who is selling for us on Amazon right now. And with all of the restrictions through COVID, it was a real problem because PPE was given priority and our stuff, sat in the warehouse, or they wouldn't even let them place an order to send in.
So let's talk a little bit about, since you are the person about the moving parts, let's talk a little bit about the revenue model. So you said that your item price point is $79.95, right?
No, it had been driven down that far. In fact, in the last 6 months, we've been able to recover some of our price point. Okay, so back when everybody was selling, other distributors were selling our product, they had pushed the price point down to $79. We were normally selling at that time for $119.
Mhm.
And so, that was a significant loss. And so little by little, we've been able to climb back up. So for a long time, we were back at 89. Last year, we got back to 99 because everybody, our prices have gone up. People are expecting those prices to go up, and we pass that along to the customer. But recently, we've actually raised our price to 119, which is where we started off way back in the day.
Mhm.
And part of that strategy is because we have 3 different products. We wanted at least a $20 delta between each product, otherwise you cannibalize, the one just above it. And so now we're kind of edging our way back to a $59 product, and then a $79 product, and then actually bumping up the Ultra, which is our really high premium product. And I think that it's a value proposition. So people look at it and say, okay, well, there's a big difference between this $119 product and our next level down at 79. What's it do? And it takes a little more interest in. And I think that it's been interesting to see. We thought that we would see a dip in sales, and we really have not.
Yeah. Well, so you've got 3 different items, and what separates them, obviously, their quality and
Right.
therefore the price point.
Size and construction, the amount of gel in each item. Gel is the sort of pressure dispersion property or material that gives you that pressure dispersion. So the way that our product works is it's a dual layer construction. So you have a layer of foam which keeps its integrity. It's a high density. It doesn't compress terribly. Has some give, but not a lot. And then you have a layer of the gel over the top. So when you're sitting, you're actually sitting on a kind of a floating, you're not getting the pressure points. And when we've been pressure mapped, there are no hot spots. So like, people who are sitting for like in a wheelchair, they get pressure sores from that. And our product is good for that. It's, it takes that away. So
do they come in different colors and
they do.
sizes?
They do. In fact, We've done well with both black and gray, but we're introducing blue, and like it's really pretty.
So your 3 items are 3 parents in that case, right?
Yes.
And then each
Yes.
parent has what Amazon calls variations.
Variations, yes.
So that's quite a lot of work to manage in terms of replenishment, in terms of content, conversions, and the buy box and
Yeah.
yeah. So that's so. But right now you're not selling directly. You have one distributor selling it mainly, and then you
Right.
are also there, but they are the ones that are doing most of the activity.
Yes, yeah, we co-manage the brand, so to speak, because I mean, they really have been a good partner for us. I can tell them, in fact, when we raised the price, it was on my suggestion. So we meet, every 2 to 3 weeks and see what's going on, and look at all of the parameters that need to be watched. And they've been a good partner. So we feel it's not the best of both worlds. We'd really like to bring it back in house and manage it ourselves, because you just have better control and what's going
Yeah,
on.
I mean, there is no question about, you control is the key word. So there are different ways to manage with supply chain and selling directly. So what I've seen companies do is, first of all, the most strict approach is nobody can sell on Amazon except us. You can sell anywhere else, but on Amazon, we'll be representing the brand ourselves. So that's the most strict. And then the other one is you have distributors sell on Amazon, but they have to sign the agreement and they have to respect the MAP policy. And then they can do whatever they want. They can sell all products and knowing that they will be competing with you.
Yeah.
So that's another way. That's the other end of the extreme. And then somewhere in the middle, which is a reasonable policy, is you basically make an announcement to your supply chain. You can say, look, we are going to be selling directly on Amazon. However, the following items we will not touch. They are for our supply chain to sell. However, in order to sell these are the minimum requirements we expect from you in terms of buying volume.
Right.
So you look, we're giving you the privilege of selling an item without competition from us.
Right.
But you need to be placing enough orders.
Right.
With us.
Yes.
So that way they know they're not going to be competing with the manufacturer, but at the same time they have to do their part to buy enough.
Yeah.
And of course they have to respect the policy. And then some of the items you keep it to yourself. So this one, nobody else but us will be selling these items. And typically what happens is the new launches the manufacturer takes, brings it in-house, and then sells them. And then once it ages a little bit, then it can pass it on to the supply chain.
Right.
Or you can have some of those, what you call platinum partners, to participate in the launch sales. Of course, those you're selling at discount, I mean, at no discount whatsoever, full price. So different practices, but there is no right or wrong. It's but the awareness that you have to regulate your supply chain is
you really have to keep your eye on it.
Yeah, so it's something. So I mean, look, this is, what you've done is a huge deal, because I know the pains. From cash flow standpoint, but also you can't do things. This is like a drip situation, right? So you have to plan and then execute over time. You can't change overnight. So people also have to make a living. They know their revenue source. But the bottom line answer is you cannot rely your distributors to protect your brand. They will do whatever is in their best interest, discount as much as possible. And then once there's no more money, then that's it. Of course, in the process, their volume with you goes down.
Gone. Yeah.
So you have to be on Amazon directly. So as far as your goals, I know that you say that you want to bring it in-house. That's your ultimate goal.
Yeah.
right? So assuming that you do that, what kind of growth are you expecting in your
Oh my
Amazon
gosh.
journey in terms of multiples of revenues? What are you looking to achieve?
I think we'd see 200% growth.
And
Easily.
over the
Easily.
next year.
Yeah. If we could bring it in-house right now, this year, I think we would see 200% growth with
And what is
our team
standing in
managing
your way?
it.
And what is standing in your way?
Cash flow at the moment, cash flow. So we're in a situation where our distributor, and we also have a contract with our current distributor that we have to play out for one more year. So we've been in a partnership with them, and we don't want to just,
Yeah.
leave.
So it goes back to what we were talking about. You can't just change the rules.
Yeah,
overnight.
it takes a little, and we've been approached by other aggregators on Amazon and with huge growth, and it was like, people promise the world, and I just don't believe it. I think that we would do better with it in-house and putting the focus on it that we know has to be there in order to make it grow. And the speed with which we move versus a big corporation, it's like, okay, here we are in the pandemic, everybody's working from home.
Yeah, it's the
Here
perfect
we have,
time.
here are new photographs, here's new text to put up, here's new everything. Please get that going, right?
Yeah.
Focus on the work from home, focus on that. We should be a PPE product, right?
Right.
Because
exactly.
people are hurting. You ended up at the physical therapist because you were sitting. And our product should be right up there and helping people. So yeah, I think if we took it back in-house, we would see 200% growth. I have no doubt.
Well, I'm sure you will. So I see, I heard from Jason, I heard from you. The company has always done the right thing. It's like you are the perfect example of what Churchill said about American people.
We don't give up.
No, not about giving up. He said you can always trust the American people to do the right thing once they try everything else. so you'll do the right thing.
All right.
So Kathleen, my last question is always the same. So if you could wish one thing for Amazon to change in their policies for sellers, what would that be?
Bring back some seller central support, bring some access. I mean, it's like you open a ticket and hope for the best.
Yeah.
You can put your phone number in there and you might get a call back, but you probably won't. And, let's work on the communication skills of the people that are working for them. I'm sure they're all very good people and they're trying their best. I really have a firm belief that people are doing the best they can with what they have, but they need to do a little better.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Well, one little tip that I learned is when I have a situation, I go to help, you click, and in the end, it opens up, describe your issue. So I always put all the details, long email, specific details. And then, so that creates a case. I get the case number, then I immediately go back and create another case.
Yep.
And then I put reference, I put the first case number.
Right.
And then I select the call me back option.
Yep.
So that way, and then when they call back, because it's all automated, they call back. And when they call back, I say, please take a look at the ticket that I mentioned.
Yeah.
In this call ticket. I don't want to explain everything to you. So
Yeah,
all the
go back and
details
look at
are
the
there.
reference.
And then you can, and then I'll hold, don't worry, take your time. So that way I can save my breath and I don't have to get all aggravated. And then at the same time, they have access to the information. And that tends to work for me whenever I need to call. But of course, that doesn't mean you're going to get a meaningful answer. But at least now they have the information that they can forward or whatever. So that's always something.
They've got the information to do what they need to do if they do it.
Yeah. So Kathleen, this is great. So tell us about yourself. So who is Cathleen Woodall? My favorite last question. Who is Kathleen
well,
Woodall? Where do you live? And I know you paint. What are your passions outside of work?
yeah. We live in Arizona, which I miss the beach every day of my life because I grew up in California. Not that I want to go back there now, but you can't really afford to go back yet. You know, I think that there might be a correction in the market coming, but real estate there is pretty out of control. So Arizona is a pretty nice place to be right now. It's, you know, good weather and we're coming into the spring and it's really nice. So hiking, love to get out and I ski. So Flagstaff is only a couple hours away, which is really nice. My son is my favorite person in the world and we actually ski together. So it's pretty cool. And I do love to paint. And my grandfather was an artist, my grandmother, my mother, and my grandfather on my mother's side was actually a pastel artist, one of the mediums that he used. And that was kind of my passion. I don't know, I just kind of fell into that and I've been pursuing it more. I've had some offers for putting stuff up in, you know, various places to display. So that's a long-term goal for me. And also, you know, one of the things I really want to do when like post Gelco, I would like to help other businesses like us who bootstrapped from the very beginning, good people trying their best to do what they can do and just need a leg up. I'd really like to be able to have a fund that helps those people to just get over the hump, you know?
Yeah. So with that, tell us how people can reach you, personally, and also for the company. We'll post this information on our website and on YouTube, your contact, but give us the contact info.
Yeah, for Gelco products, info@gelcoproducts.com comes straight to me. And other than that, it's just my last name at gelcoproducts.com. So Woodall at gelcoproducts.com. And we have an 800 number that's 1-866-45-Gelco. So we have a lot of Gelco going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, and our website is gelcoproducts.com.
And you are also on LinkedIn.
We're on, yes, LinkedIn, yeah, eBay, you know, not eBay, I'm sorry, YouTube. And so yeah, we're all around. You can find us.
Well, Kathleen, this is extremely useful because you know, it's one thing to sell. Everybody wants to sell, but really, you can't really jump into this without thinking long term about your distribution, your strategy, your price strategy, brand strategy, distribution strategy. You really have to do it, and then you've done. If you don't do that, and then you just jump in, then it takes a lot longer to fix it. And obviously, you've done it all, and you've been through it. So this is very useful information. Good. And I'm sure whatever is coming your way is going to be great. So thank you.
This is our year.
Yes, and thank you for coming as a guest. And I enjoy talking to you, and I always admire people who make things happen out of nothing.
Well, thank you. I've enjoyed this. This has been really good for me too. Thank you.
Thank you. So this brings us to the end of another episode, and I'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Be sure and subscribe, rate, and review our show. And be sure and share an episode with a friend. And thank you so much for being with us today. We'll see you next week here on Amazon Legends.